by the Taliban, and so they blew it up. Various Buddha throughout Asia. The one on the left is quite ancient, the one on the right is brand new. Likewise, these two in China are brand new. The one on the left, as you can see from the entrance doors, it's about 400 feet tall. These are ancient. In the temple of Angkor Wat, the great complex in Cambodia, which I find similar to America's greatest monumental achievement, Gutzon Borglum's Mount Rushmore. These are dual emperors of China, a new monumental work that is on the scale of Mount Rushmore. Certainly the great Easter Island monoliths that no one quite knows what they commemorate. And then again, Borglum in Georgia. This is Stone Mountain and the three heroes of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis, Stonewall Jackson, and in the center, Robert E. Lee. The great statue in the center of the World's Columbian Exposition in the Great Lagoon, as designed by probably the greatest ensemble of American architects, sculptors, and painters in our history. Again, the World's Columbian Exposition. The most monumental work in the nation's capital of Abraham Lincoln by Daniel Chester French, and the following items I'm going to show you are on par with those that I showed you at the beginning of the seven wonders of the world of Zeus and Athena. Here is Jefferson within the Jefferson Memorial. And then you have the great work of Benjamin Franklin in the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. An image here of Washington. Sometimes these just don't work. This is a statue of the founding father that at this point was on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol. It just didn't take with the public. The idea of Washington as Cincinnatus, which this is to portray, the great general of Rome who chose to return to his fields when he could have made himself an emperor. That is the American ideal that Washington portrays and was the point of this sculpture. It just didn't work, and so this structure is now hidden within the Smithsonian. This is the huge statue of Crazy Horse, a monument of such scale in the Midwest that Mount Rushmore could sort of fit under his head. It is probably going to be the largest relief sculpture in history. This is Mother Russia, a favorite of mine. I think this is truly extraordinary. You can see the scale of it with the tiny dots at the bottom, which are people. This, I feel, is one of the most god-awful works of art on the planet Earth. It is the statue of Peter the Great in the Moscow River as you approach the Kremlin. Zaratelli was the sculptor. He initially intended this to be Christopher Columbus, and it was to go to Genoa. But the Genoese didn't want it, so he changed the name and made it into Peter the Great. This is Christ the Redeemer, a very successful work of art over the harbor of Rio de Janeiro. The monumental statue of Sam Houston in Texas, and then America's most iconic statue, the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor, a gift of the people of France to America, situated in an extraordinary historic fortress. I'm appreciative you have given us some time to consider a new idea. I've been coming to South Carolina and the Low Country for most of my life. My father has a home near Georgetown, and I have many friends across your state. Some of these friends have compelled me to conceptualize a few ideas for your review, which we have been working on for a month or so. The National Monuments Foundation builds monuments that are designed to uplift our culture. I am not of the opinion that America has seen her greatest days and that we are now in a cultural decline. On the contrary, I think our greatest days are way ahead of us, as long as we do not forget the solid foundation of ideals on which we stand and the Americans who sacrificed greatly for those ideals. Charleston and Patriots Point present an extraordinary opportunity to celebrate the universal human ideal of freedom, the iconography of which I will get into later. Conceptualizing this ideal at this place, Patriots Point has generated the following ruminations: a male counterpart to Lady Liberty in New York Harbor, marrying the two iconographically as well as geographically and historically. To do another female would forever result in comparisons, which is inappropriate. We initially thought of Castle Pinckney having a more direct connection to the New York setting. Regardless, the statue should face the mouth of the harbor. A sunburst crown similar to Lady Liberty could house an observation lookout reached by elevator. The sculpture could rise above Charleston Harbor beginning at a groundbreaking ceremony on April 12, 2011, the sesquicentennial of the firing on Fort Sumter. It would be appropriate in part for the work to celebrate the 350th anniversary of the founding of the Carolinas. Within the base could be a high-tech interactive museum on the history of this region and the impact that history has had on the nation. Great art can help to drive a culture forward, and an opportunity exists here to have a powerful impact on this nation from this place, yet again. The great harbors of history's greatest cities became iconic for the ages when a people take the initiative to make their harbor a work of art as well as commerce. Alexandria did this with the world's greatest lighthouse and library. Rome at Ostia as well, with a monumental statue greeting all shipping at the world's most important capital. And most famous was Rhodes, which was immense, though probably not straddling the harbor entrance as shown here. You may note that two of these are among the 7 wonders of the world. Contemporary times would unquestionably be New York, the Alexandria of our day. Thanks to the French, an American colossus of ancient symbology greets all the world who enter her harbor on a scale and beauty ranking with the greatest historical works of art ever created by mankind. The history of the United States at this significant time in this cradle of American culture and freedom presents us with an opportunity to make Charleston Harbor a work of art, placing this city in the pantheon of mankind's greatest works. Charleston Harbor is the only possible parallel to New York Harbor on the east coast of the United States to appropriately convey what this city needs to say historically and artistically to America and the world. The statue could celebrate and proclaim liberty as a human right from the place that first saw victory during the Revolution and emboldened the Continental Congress to sign the Declaration of Independence. It could finally bind the wounds of the war between the states so beautifully begun with the Memorial Bridge in Washington, D.C., joining the Lincoln Memorial to Lee's Arlington House across the divide that is the Potomac River. It could teach the world that up to 60% of all Americans of African descent can trace their roots to slave ship arrivals at Sullivan's Island, including the First Lady. It can teach that this is the place where the first shots were fired on Fort Sumter to defend states' rights. And it can commemorate the 54th Massachusetts, a black regiment who fought for their freedom in Charleston. These historical facts form a comprehensive overview of the greater American experience and could not be properly allegorized from a northern city territory or even my city, Atlanta, burned to the ground during the war, as it would ring hollow. Other than everything I've just mentioned, Charleston is the cradle of Southern history and culture and one of the world's most beautiful cities. We certainly have larger economic engines that the South has produced. I come from our largest. But Charleston is unrivaled in the Southern lexicon of cultural greatness and American excellence. There is no other American place that can tell this story in such a magnificent way. Please consider how Patriots Point can do this and complete the process to make this harbor a wonder of the modern world.